Hello, my name is Biko. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're one of the very select few of the Animal Crossing viewers I had from years ago. It's been a while, but I'm back. I have some more spare time on my hands. I'm ready to jump into this game, Planet Coaster 2. Brand new to the game as of like a month ago. Been a lurker for a while for the first game, watching other creators create and build. So I'm excited to jump in and try my hand at it. So yeah, this is my new series, Planet Coaster 2. I am building a Legend of Zelda-inspired theme park. I'm excited to do it. I hope you are too. Let's jump into it. So like I was saying, this is my new series of Planet Coaster 2. I have been a lurker from the Planet Coaster 1 days. I've never actually played a Planet Coaster game, really. I mean, I take that back. I downloaded the first game, I played it for a couple hours. Then my kids were born, and I didn't have any time. This is my, first attempt to really jump in the game and start to learn it and really build. Anyways, with that out of the way, this is my Legend of Zelda Fields of Hyrule theme park that I'm building. I got this game shortly after released, and I spent the first night kind of just like fuddling around the game. Told myself, hey, Zelda's cool. I love Zelda. Why don't I look up some Zelda elements, items, and see if I can recreate in this game and see what this game's about. So I looked up Hyrule Castle, and that was my first kind of project, if you will, in this game. And then I started to build a whole theme park around that concept of Legend of Zelda, with Hyrule Castle being the centerpiece. And again, truth be told, I spent like 100 hours in that first go of the park. And then, I realized I suck at this game. I'm starting to learn more. I think I can have this laid out a bit better, and I think I can build with a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Dimension. That first Hyrule Castle that I built was cool. I was kind of proud of it, especially for it being my first build in this game ever. But I'll throw it up on the screen here. But it was just kind of flat, kind of lacked dimension. I was like, again, it's cool. It's a good centerpiece, but I think I could do better. And then also, like, I had built out the whole main plaza, and I started building out a Goron City area too. I got pretty far into that, and I just wasn't happy with how it was laid out. I was like, man, I feel like I wasn't organized in how I built this out, so I'm going to start over. Which again, if you are one of the very select few who used to watch me in Animal Crossing, that was something that I did all the time. I would build an island and then I would delete it and want to do it again. So I'm trying not to do that in this game, but yeah, that's what happened here. So this is my second attempt at a Legend of Zelda theme park, trying to come at it with a more organized manner and plan it out ahead of time. Additional disclaimers with this whole series, well, maybe not this whole series, but this first part of the series, I've been recording me building this out, but I didn't really have like a plan in mind in terms of how I was gonna edit this series. So it might be kind of discombobulated, disjointed in terms of like what you're seeing on screen and what I'm like the order that I'm releasing these videos. But I'll try to, after this main plaza build, I'll try to keep it more organized in that way. With that out of the way, I'm gonna let you watch this kind of fountain build, and I'll jump back in a little bit. I forgot to mention again, I started this park when I first got the game. Started over, blah blah blah. So you'll see some elements that I've already built out from the previous park that I'm happy with and I wanted to keep. So that's where this this Triforce fountain garden thing came about. I actually had it in the Temple of Time drop tower that I built, which you can see part of that in the background of this. I originally had it as like a flat, again, a garden piece like outside the queue. I really liked the idea. I liked how it came out, but I wanted something a little bit different and kind of make it more of a centerpiece of the park rather than just like a throwaway, that's a wrong term, but I can't think of another term right off the top of my head, type of piece. I wanted it, again, be kind of like a center of the park. Like you walk in, you kind of see this and it's there. So that's what this is. Like I said, second attempt at building this park. So some of these pieces I've already built. Unfortunately, don't have the footage of that. But yeah, so that's why you're seeing a half completed Temple of Time in the background. And that's why you saw me drag in this garden, basically already built, and then I just removed some of the pieces. That's what that is. One of my, I guess, initial issues with this game that is completely different from the Animal Crossing world that I'm used to is, this is a good example, the rock work. I know a lot of people talk about it. It's amazing. It's incredible what you can do, especially now with the scaling tool. But I'm so used to in Animal Crossing everything being like 4 options in terms of what way they can face. You can't resize anything. It's very like set in the way that you can arrange items in Animal Crossing. So having the ability to take a rock and resize it and then arrange it in such a way that, you know, it just like, it's super overwhelming. So I'm still trying to get used to that whole dynamic of this game. I'm trying to stay away from that scenery brush outside of like just the outside of each region where it's not super detailed. It's more just like filler stuff. It's something I'm getting used to as a new Planet Coaster player. But I'm excited. I'm excited to get used to it and start to figure out how I can start to fill in some of the gaps of these areas. Because, you know, as I start to finish up this main plaza area, there's a lot of empty space. I was like, what do I do here? And again, trying to stay away from the scenery brush, but also don't want to spend X amount of time with the tedious, like, rotating a rock 12 degrees and then resizing it by 18% to fit it perfectly. But yeah, I mean, I think once I get used to it, maybe it'll be easier. Maybe I can create like a couple subset of rock clusters that might fit in different areas, and I can resize and rotate from there, and maybe that's the way to go. I don't know why I didn't think of that until now, but glad I'm talking it out with you guys. Another thing that I think I'm benefiting from, you know, with this new go at this park compared to the first attempt is the scaling, or not the scaling, but the perspective of like the guest and how my builds compare to the size of the guest. What is the word that I'm thinking of, but I just can't come up with it. I don't know, but you know what I mean. When I first built the park, my first go, I feel like the buildings were way too huge. The guests just look like ants compared to the buildings. So I'm trying to use, that's why you see those statues there. I'm sure a lot of people, it's not a new idea that I'm like bestowing upon the Planet Coaster community or anything, but for anyone new to the game, that's something that I learned is like, why don't I use the statues as kind of like a guide of how big these buildings should be to be realistic to the guests that are going to be in and out of the park. So it doesn't look absolutely ridiculous to have like a tiny human with, you know, a 70-story building that's meant to be 2 stories. Exaggeration, but you know what I mean. And then along with the rock work that I'm trying to get used to, another element that I'm trying to get used to, I should say, in this game is the lighting. I'm finding it hard to figure out like a balance between like too many lights or not enough light. You know what I mean? So that's something I'm still trying to get a hold of. So I think the fountain turned out pretty cool though in terms of the lighting aspect. I think I did a decent job, but you can let me know if not. Okay, now we're going to jump into the castle build. Like I said, this is my second attempt at a Hyrule Castle. The first one was kind of flat and one-dimensional. Not one-dimensional, you know what I'm saying. Like, just kind of not... It's lacking dimension. This one I'm trying to build less as, like, just rectangles and squares and more of the cylinders, circular shapes.
Bruh.
It took me a little while to grasp the whole strategy of what I'm showing on the screen right here is using the pillar as kind of like the centerpiece, and then the symmetry rotation tool to get a perfect circle. I'm starting to figure out like the different pieces that I can use rather than just like the set wall pieces that Frontier has in the game. So yeah, I'm trying to incorporate that more into this build, and I'll be building other things in the park that take advantage of that strategy. But again, yeah, this is my second attempt. I was trying to make it less flat, more of like a dimensional castle, if you will. So I know a lot of people they've had their complaints about this game. I understand that coming from the perspective of someone who's been playing Frontier games or Planet Coaster games or Planet Zoo games or whatever in the past. I understand that perspective of not being happy of like what's in the game, what's not in the game, what's missing, what's broken, etc. But for me, coming from a completely new player perspective, man, this game is freaking amazing. Like I can't explain to you, like I've put in like almost 300 hours in this game, and I'm just still super excited to jump on and get that time to build and explore the different pieces and stuff. Again, I understand like coming from someone who's been playing these games for a while now, they expect a certain level of bugginess or lack of bugginess. But yeah, I coming from the naive perspective that I'm coming from, like oh man, like all of this is new to me. So I understand like for a lot of you guys, maybe this is old stuff, like this is in the previous games, but man, this is all new. So I'm just super pumped about it. The reason I bring that up is when I first got the game was crashing quite a bit. Like I have this old PC that I got for gaming, but again, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm not a PC gamer. I've been console gamer my whole life. So it was just a super basic setup, kind of an out-of-the-box PC that I got years ago for work and for gaming, casual gaming. But anyways, this game was crashing with the old specs that I had, and then I recently, for Christmas, my wife bought me RAM upgrade and internal storage upgrade. Just trying to save up for a new graphics card. But all that to say is like my game's not crashing nearly as much. So since fixing that, since upgrading the RAM and whatnot, and the lack of crashing, like I've been enjoying the game even more so than I was before. And like it's just like I can sink 3-4 hours into this game without even like realizing. This is a cool idea that I saw from someone from the workshop built the spires. Actually, the spires that I have on the Temple of Time. I was trying to figure out how people were doing this. So I downloaded somebody else's workshop item and looked at the items that they were using for this to create those spires. And I noticed they were using the swords. I was like, oh my god, that's genius. people who play this game are freaking amazing. I love it. And yeah, I don't think I would have thought of that, but now I feel like I can use that, and I used it here. That's why I bring it up. But I want to give credit to, I mean, I don't know who it is personally, obviously, but here's the share code. If I have it, I will throw it up on the screen now. Whoever you are, if you're watching this somehow, thank you for that idea. This is really a good idea, and I plan to use it throughout the park and throughout future builds and stuff. So yeah, thanks. So here I started with the idea that I might make the interior of this castle like an interactive thing, like either like a restaurant or shops or something. That's why I have these arches here. I initially thought I would have paths going in, and again, it would be like an area for guests to mingle about, which I might still do in the future. I don't know. It didn't end up turning out that way in the end. It more is just, at this point, just like the main like kind of mecca of the park, where hopefully, if I build it correctly, you will be able to see from all different vantage points of the park. And especially when you walk in and it's right there, it's kind of staring you in the face, and it's hopefully an imposing structure that people will look at and be like, hey, that is not just squares, those are different shapes in that castle. Again, maybe in the future I'll turn this into like a shop market area, which I think would actually be kind of cool now I'm thinking about it again. I don't know, I left it open. So if I do decide to go that route in the future, I am able to. Here you see me redoing the roofs of these turrets. I feel like the original version I had was super goofy and like it just looked weird. So I tried to make it more like, you see that? Like the bottom is just like, what is that? It looks like a Minecraft type of deal. So I redid that to make it more angled and hopefully more realistic looking, rather than just like boxes offset at the bottom of the spire. Yeah, and here's where I was like, maybe I don't go with that whole internal market thing for this structure and make it more of just like a decorative piece. So I started to create this castle door here, which is, again, man, like you just grab random pieces and figure out like how can you manipulate them to be what you want to be. This is such a simple example of that. Like people obviously have more intricate examples of creating buildings and whatnot in this game with random set pieces that are not meant for what that is. Again, I just feel like this community is freaking amazing in terms of creativity and kind of like how they see different pieces. It's so cool to watch people do that, and just exploring the workshop too. It's so like, not to sound cheesy or anything, but it's so like inspirational to look at the workshop and see different structures that people are building and get ideas from that. Yeah, and here I was trying to figure out how best to, create more depth. Is that the word I was thinking of earlier? Depth? Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, so create more depth with this castle. That's why you see these turrets floating in the air. Eventually I'll harness them to the ground in the form of castle walls. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out like how am I going to create some depth with this? Not just be like one level and then go up a couple steps another level. Just very like, again, coming from Animal Crossing experience, very kind of out of the box in terms of like the depth and the shapes and whatnot, and the arrangement of the items too. And now that I finally have tethered these turrets to the ground, so it's not a floating castle anymore, which actually would make sense if I was going for a Breath of the Wild vibe, which I'm not. I'm going for a Ocarina of Time, at least in this part. But yeah, so I'm finishing up the castle here. I will let it play out, and then I will see you towards the end of the video. Alright, boys and girls, there you have it. There's my first episode of my Planet Coaster series. I'm back in sort of real time here, not the speed build. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this might seem disjointed at first, these first few episodes. I'm kind of giving you an overlook of what it looks like at this point in time. I've obviously built up way more based on what you're seeing here than what I showed in the video, but subsequent episodes you'll see those builds. Anyways, enjoy these shots. I am still getting used to mouse and keyboard, so these some of these shots might be wonky and janky, so I apologize for that. I'm doing the best I can. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't make some of you Planet Coaster veterans cringe too much with my methods and whatnot. Again, give me feedback, give me thoughts, give me recommendations, give me praise. always up for compliments. Subscribe if you're new, which again is probably most of you. So please subscribe. I'll be putting these out relatively frequently, I hope. Yeah. I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.